I'm a cruel dog parent. I wait for them to fall asleep and then I shout. I'm sorry, boy. You can go back to sleep. I wouldn't be happy if someone done that to me. Anyway, Leo, boy. I'm only playing. You can be the star of the show. No, today's star of the show, other than Leo, other than me, is this. Let me correct this. Is today's message that I got on Instagram. They say, hey, sorry to message. Never be sorry to message. Never. You're not causing me any hassle. You're not taking time out of my day. You're actually adding amazingness to my life because I'm very honored that you have actually put in the time because you have a busy day, right? You've got a fantastic life. You know, if you don't see it, then I will see it for you so much that I'm going to force you to see it yourself. And you've taken time out of that day to message me, and I'm very grateful. So never say sorry, all right? So we're going to skip past that opening sentence, and we're just going to say, hey, I just wanted to say I'm so grateful to have found your account. I too was abused as a child by my half brother and my half sister's cousin. Like you, I kept quiet and I kept it to myself about my brother, but my family knew about the sister's cousin's abuse. Cool. All right. So your family knew about one of them. All right. But now I've told my mum, I'm assuming about the brother, and she's hidden it. And when it did come out, I was verbally abused and called a liar, even though my mum has known about it for a year and hasn't said anything to defend me. All right, so the family, those people have found out, have called you a liar, and they verbally abuse you, and your mum is just sort of sitting there on the sideline, allowing it all to happen without defending you. Well, that's not nice, is it? So thank you. I'm just trying to heal, or at least deal with being cut off. I hope you're well. All right. Now, let's just get the obvious out the way. And the obvious is that your mum should have defended you 100%. There is nothing else that I'm going to say about that. I'm not going to defend her. The fact is that she should have protected you. She should have defended you when it came out in the open. All right? You are her daughter, and she should be protecting her daughter. And then no one should be verbally abusing you. No one should say that you're a liar. That's another fact. All right? So, but I mean, that aside, I want to first say well done for taking a step of breaking your silence and sharing your truth, because that alone is huge. It's a massive milestone. Not many people can actually get to the point of doing that. You did. So remind yourself of that. And when a shitstorm is brewing all around you, focus in on the fact that you done that. You broke your silence. You gave it a voice. And that is huge, because silence kills. Okay, whether it's 2 years, 2 months, 20 years, it kills. You have just broken that silence. Okay, and if your brother abused you, there is a chance that there was maybe some type of generational cycle going on, and it ended with you. So it's huge. Okay, cool. So, in regards to you taking your time to heal, do that. Do whatever you need to do to heal, whether it's time for yourself, it's time away from your family. Who gives a fuck? Because let's not forget that your family should have protected you. They should have defended you, and they didn't. They're showing their colors. All right, so don't feel bad for turning your back on them, whether it's momentarily or like who knows. Like, just right now, it's not about projecting out into the future. It's not about what's going to happen here, what's going to happen there. If I make this decision today, what's going to happen in 6 months' time? Is my family now going to, if I say I need to take time for me, I need to take time out. It's got nothing to do with them. It's got everything to do with you. So focus on yourself 100% until you get to a point where it's time for the next step, whatever that looks like. Okay, but right now we're not there. So focus on the now, which is healing, which is taking time for yourself. Okay. Now, with your mum, I think when I say there's something that we need to realize, not from a place of it excuses their behavior or anything like that. I just think that a lot of times it's good to just see something from the other side of the fence. You know, it's good to just see it from maybe their angle. And it's not to say their angle is right or not by any stretch of means. You don't need to attach that definitive outcome to it. It's just like, can you see it from their angle? Could you, for a moment, just be curious? Be like, okay, well, when my mum heard my story, now she's been quiet for over a year and she didn't defend me. Why? Lead with curiosity. Why? Not. It doesn't mean anything, but sometimes it just helps. Like it helped me with my dad. You know, my dad allowing me in that house when he knew that I was an abuser there. His stepdad. My dad staying silent. My granddad abusing me. It was my curiosity that led me to find out that he was abused in Catholic churches, right, in the boarding schools. So the Catholic boarding schools. Sorry, it led me to believe that. Sorry, it led me to find out that because I led with the curiosity, and it just helped me to move forward. You know, awareness allows us to move forward, I believe. So if we got to take a moment to just be curious, you know, from where I'm coming from, you sharing with your mum about what your brother done, that's her son. She's now trying to understand this absolute fuckery in her eyes, probably that she's created, where she has given birth to a son that's abused his sister, her daughter. And she's probably thinking that she's the worst mom in the world. Now, should she be putting herself first? No, she shouldn't. She should be putting you first. Okay, again, this isn't about what's right or wrong. It's just from their point of view, what are they probably going through? Well, they're probably going through denial. They don't want to believe it. They don't want to talk about it. And in that moment, you know, it's very easy for today to not talk about it. I'm not going to talk about it today. I'm just going to, I'm not going to talk about it today. You wake up the next day, I'm not going to talk about it today. It's easy to say that in the moment, but the compound effect takes over and shit hits the fan. All right. And sometimes it's too late because it just is but when it came out and everyone said that you were a liar, then probably in that moment, if your mom was to step in and back you up, in that moment, she's now accepted that to be the truth. She's accepted it that her son did abuse his own sister. And that's probably why she didn't step in. It might not be the reason, but I can definitely say that it's up there as a high chance as to why she didn't step in. Because her stepping in now makes it a thing. It means that she's now owned that truth. She's backing you up. And if she backs you up, then that means that she can't back up the son. So therefore, if she's backing up her daughter, then she is going to have to turn her back on her own son. You know, and you might think, well, that's you putting her in that situation. And it's not. It's not. It doesn't need to be like that. You're not doing anything. It's just the lens that she's probably looking at it through. So now that we are like, okay, well, if she's probably going through that, does that help me move forward and not do anything with my mum? Just like, block her out of my life? Does it help me move forward to take the higher ground and maybe sit down with my mum and be like, listen, you're probably going through this. And whilst I don't know what that feels like, I just want to say that, here's the thing. I think it's difficult, but I think there's a lot of power when you operate from a place of love, because she doesn't want to be a failure as a mum, and she doesn't want you to judge her and think that she is a failure. No, it's one thing her thinking she's a failure, but if you think that she's a failure, that just confirms her own fear of being a failure, and she's just going to go down a slippery path. But if you treat her with love, that might allow her to accept it, and it might allow her to try to actually navigate it, because now she's confirmed that it's the truth, and she's owned that fact, So that's my thought of it. That if you've got a family member who hasn't backed you up, whilst that's an absolutely terrible thing, and in the moment you're probably going to think that they're the devil, But with time, as you've healed enough to reflect, it might be worth to look at it through their lens and then try to come to a mutual ground of understanding and sit them down and have the open communication to say to them, I feel like I know what you're going through. And it's not about whether you agree with it or not, okay? Because that then opens up this sort of debate, and it's not a back and forth. It's an open space for you to see it through their lens, because now they don't feel like they're an outcast, and now they feel included. And what that does is reciprocation. It creates a mirror effect, and now they can be like, okay, I appreciate that, and then she opens up, you know. Then she opens up. Now that's just, a thing that I wanted to mention, and I'm not saying that you need to do X, Y, and Z. It's just something to just ponder on. But what I will say is that at the end of the day, all right, at the end of the day, you are priority. You come first, and you don't necessarily owe anything to your mum, because your mum should have been there. She should be there for you now. Okay, you taking a higher ground and sitting down with her is you being an amazing person. You taking a higher ground. You don't owe it to her. You don't have to do it. Could it help? Absolutely. Could you do it and it actually not go the way that it's planned? It could. Which is why I feel like that before you do it, you need to be solid. You need to be grounded. You need to be a lot further down the healing journey for you to do that and prepare for her to be like, no, you didn't do it. I don't believe it. And then you're like, all right, listen, I haven't come here to force you to believe it. I know what happened. It is what it is. And if you don't want to take my side as my mother, then cool. But just so you know, I can't fucking take your side with anything, right? Because I don't want someone like you in my life who won't have my back when it comes to something like this. Because what else are you not going to have my back on? You know, you have to create boundaries, and you have to love yourself enough to accept what you're worthy to accept, but also reject what you don't need in your life. And don't forget that with time brings healing, time brings awareness, time brings reflection. And maybe it will get to a certain point where your mum will realize what she's done and she will take a stand. And I'm going to give you an example now. We have somebody in our community. She's actually she's finished writing a book a while ago, and we've just gone through the publishing stage, and she's now waiting for a book to be delivered to her. And she was abused by a family member's husband, partner, and her mum. She told her mum about it, but a similar situation in regards to the mum just didn't really back her up. And we're talking now, quite some time later, years later, and she's taken the path of now writing her book, and her mum knows about it, and her mum decided to, who knows what the actual real reason is, and maybe she doesn't know, but it's just a mixture of different things happening and seeing her daughter take a stand for her truth. Now the mum is backing her up. Now the mum called up the members of the family to say, hey, right, stop treating her like shit. Otherwise, you're out of our lives. She was abused, right? So you better buck up your ideas and change how you're dealing with this. This is my daughter. If you've got a problem with her, you've got a problem with me. And she just went to town. But it took her to get to that place in her own time. And that came with space, as well as the person, the survivor, you, doing everything you can to better yourself and to take a stand for your truth, to take a stand for your story, use your voice to create change. Because sometimes, I think all the time, when it comes to being abused within a family environment, or even extended family, but families involved, it takes one person to lead the way as a leader for then other people to start following. It might take a while, but they will start following because you went on that path and you never got off that path. People will follow. Your mum will follow at some stage because she's a mother and you're her daughter. I don't know. I always like to see I don't know your mum, and I know that there are some mums out there that really aren't nice people, but I always like to try and find the good. And it burns me a lot. Don't get me wrong, it burns me a lot. But I would rather be burned and continuously looking at the good in people than never be burned because I never trust people. You know? Who knows? So keep your chin up, right? You're a warrior. You've got this. It's not a lonely road. It's only a lonely road if you believe that you're alone. There's plenty of communities. We've got, communities underneath this video that you can join where there's other people that have gone through very, very similar. And they're on a path just like you, where people are coming together to change their own lives and to change the lives of other people too. All right, I hope that helped. Keep the questions coming, guys. I'm loving this.